Welcome to this week's episode of Commerce Central. Today we have a special episode off-site at Craig Manufacturing up at Team Lawrence Commerce Park. Today with us we have Mr. Les Harding and Mr. Justin Holt. And what we want to do today is kind of relive some good memories of getting Craig here to Lawrenceburg. And let's start out with just brief introductions about who you guys are. So Les, what's your title? What do you do? And all that.
Well, it's somewhere between janitor and vice president of manufacturing, so for the U.S. division of Craig. But no, it's good to be here, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm I'm kind of similar to Les, but official title would be construction division manager at Doss Brothers here in Lawrenceburg.
And so today we're here, we're going to relive some memories on, I guess, the first site visit from the beginning. And I think it'd be good to start, Les, with tell us about Craig's business and then what made you guys want to expand.
Sure. Well, we call them attachments or work tools for the construction, forestry, small mining, and some of the oil field applications. We build for the dealerships and the OEMs, meaning the companies all around the world that build that big yellow and orange construction equipment. They build the machines, but somebody else has to build the rest of it that puts those to work, and that's what we do. And we've been doing this since 1946. You know, our company started right after the end of World War II as a custom machine shop in a small town on the East Coast in Canada, and it's just grown. It's stayed in the Craig family, and we're happy to say that we're still privately owned and still in the same industry. So it's been a lot of fun. As far as how we ended up in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, that would take a little longer if we went through all the details, but suffice to say that we've been fortunate that we're growing, we're expanding, we're going to continue to do that for the foreseeable future. And we've grown our customer base. We started in Canada, but the U.S. division was growing so fast, and our customers really dictated the necessity or the demand. It became such a large portion, we realized that we needed more capacity, and with such a large amount coming stateside from Canada, that we would just it made sense to open a U.S. manufacturing plant.
Yeah, and so let's kind of look back to 2018. I believe it was March or April of that year, I got an email from Ms. Lindy Barones with the State Department of Economic and Community Development, and this is after the Craig team had said we need to be in the U.S. Let's look at a few states, and you guys engage the state. That's how, again, we get projects a lot of times. And we had an available building, a spec building here in Lawrenceburg. It was 60,000 square feet. It was constructed by Doss Brothers. And again, I can't tell you how many times that Justin and I showed that building, but I remember y'all came, and I believe it was May of that year. And I think it was May because we had Mexican the first night that y'all came down.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a good day. In fact, that day we had Ben Craig and Les. I think we're the only two company reps at the time.
Yeah.
And tell us about your experience. Tell us where all you were looking, and don't have to be specific as far as communities, but what states, and then your experience in visiting different sites.
Sure. I appreciate that. And it definitely was memorable. It's kind of fun to see that you kind of look in the rearview mirror and realize it's a few years ago already. Yeah. But we narrowed down to 4 states in the southeast that we were really looking at. And, Tennessee obviously was our selected one, but we looked in both the Carolinas and Georgia and a few other places initially. We kind of honed in on Tennessee pretty quick. It became a top 2 or 3 list right away. So, we wanted to be within a certain distance of an airport that we needed to fly some people in and out as for the business. But really, when it came down to the building and the people, where were we going to be, and the spec building being here mattered. So great on the county for having that available. That was a necessity to speed up our process at the time. And then we looked in, I think it was 7 counties throughout the state, so we had some options. Lawrence County stood out with the building. It was a great facility, the land around it, and flat site, highway access. There was a number of boxes that it checked itself. And we started doing some research on the county, and it really became about the people. Yeah. And we wanted to make sure that this was going to be our home. It was our first U.S. site. We kind of bought into that Made in America, mastered in Tennessee. Yeah. We're quite proud of that. Mm-hmm. We stole that from Lindy's team, so we use it around here a little bit, but it was good. We believe in it. Some of the state and county, it's really a team that you guys have put together. At all the different levels that you start to involve high schools and TCAT colleges on the technical side, and then some of the larger universities, and you take that and the county and the city and the state and you combine that, and that's hard to beat, and it's impressive. It turns out to be a differentiator, and that made Tennessee and this region stand out above everybody else, and we could have picked any state in America. So hopefully that carries a little bit of weight. You know, we're glad to be here. We've been treated extremely well. Glad we made the decisions that we did, and there's a lot of little check boxes in between, but it really was about the people, location, buildings.
Yeah, and I want to hear Justin's perspective here, and I'm going to put you on the spot too, Justin. Do you remember the dimensions, the height, and everything of the building that when we would show it and how we'd rattle?
Oh yeah, it was 240 by 250 by 43. We got plenty of room for a crane. Gravel floor, you can do whatever you want with it. Oh, we had multiple visits up here, Ryan, and lots of times of you and I discussing what we would do once we got this building sold.
Yeah, you're right. No, it was a good time, but you were here day one, and I think you had the same experience and same feeling when Ben and Les came. And again, it was weird. We don't typically take people to the Mexican joint, but it felt like family. So tell us your experience, from your perspective.
It was finally almost a relief and excitement, Ryan, to have someone who was taking the next step to purchase this building. I remember myself, Barry, you, Vic Pusser, other members of the community, we took a trip, flew to Maine, drove to Canada.
That was a good adventure. That was a little different. That was a good time.
Yeah, just to get to know a little bit more about Craig Manufacturing, what they were about, the community they're from, and just across the border in Canada. They're a lot like being here in Lawrence County. That was the comment that was over and over again. And we were excited to bring them here. We were excited to, have their team here, a family-owned business that is in a growing market that they're in. And they've been exceptional to work for. We had the project, we took it through design. We built the project from day one. Everything went well. We had, of course, like with anything else, we had our hiccups across the way, during the course of the project. But overall, it's been a very enjoyable. We always joke about it, but Les and I have become great friends through the process, and that's what makes business fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about that, and that's something that our objective, right, was to bring more jobs, more investment to the community, and it was actually surprising to me because I was still very green, I guess, as an economic developer, to find a company that just was like a puzzle piece to the community, and you had a team that became friends and family, and I can't tell you how many holidays that Les has crashed with my family, right? So and it's not just like this preconceived, like, oh yeah, you're a new business in the community, let's smooze you, like, no, like legitimately friends, right?
Well, one thing that impressed me about Craig when they first come to Lawrence County is how much importance that Les and his team put on investing in our community. Yeah. Not just, hey, we're going to come here, we're going to offer people a job, and we're going to sit here on the north side of Lawrenceburg by ourselves with no involvement in the community. Les has stressed from day one that he wants to be involved in community relations, charitable events. He's invested a lot of time and effort into TCAT. So that's really impressed, and it's great to have someone that comes here to Lawrenceburg and wants to be a part of Lawrenceburg, not in Lawrenceburg.
And I appreciate it. The Craig family absolutely appreciates it, because that works both ways, right? It's one thing to kind of say that's what you want to do, and I appreciate that, Justin. Part of it is to truly be accepted, right? Because that does work both ways, and that includes crashing some of your family events and some other stuff. Right. We've made some great friends, and from a personal standpoint, this is home, right? My family's changed completely as well. We moved a lot of miles away, and this has become our new home, and we're happy to be here. And it's been fun, because at times, not every day is Disneyland, right? Everybody has tough days at work, and life gets tough sometimes. But it's when you're in the right spot and you're in the right community, and working with the right people, and you got a great team, you get through those tough days, and you sure enjoy the good ones.
Oh, that's right.
It just makes it that much better, a little bit more special.
Well, it's a blast. So when y'all announced, I believe it was October of 2018, we had a big announcement here. I remember we had, was it a track hoe sitting at the back of the audience, and then this little stage, and we had some VIPs come in and do the announcement. But you announced 80 jobs and about, was it 7 million or?
Yeah, it was, well, pretty close. I think we did it in a couple stages, but it was going to be the 80 jobs, and we committed to close to $7 million in capital investment. And
How many people have you hired today?
We've almost crested the 50 mark, so I think today we sit here at 48. But if we did this, next week, we've got a few open positions. We'd like to be in the low 50s in May, and there's some targets for some, on the capital expenditure, but those are permanent, full-time new positions. We didn't put 50 people on a jet from somewhere and bring them in. We let a couple sneak across the border from Alabama, but for the most part, that's, we make them sing Rocky Top on Fridays. If they can do that, we keep them. But otherwise, that's Lawrence County and Wayne and Giles, and even from Murray coming south a little bit. So it's really become this region, and we're proud of that. And we're not done. I'm not worried about the 80 side, and that's a big number, and it's always good to have some goals. But we did that during a global pandemic. So imagine what we can do if the hand was dealt a little differently. So we're growing. There's some bright, happy people in this region, and that's what we're trying to hire. Right?
Yeah.
Bright, happy people to come to work, be part of the team, and let's grow this thing. Have a little fun, because this is world class. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's what's a lot of fun about doing, I guess, economic development, doing any business development right now in southern Tennessee, I would say specifically, is it's this partnership that we're growing together, right? And the Craig family, the Craig brand even. I mean, I've never seen a better branded company. I don't mind saying that. Like it's the T-shirts, it's the hats, it's the team wear, it's the commitment to family. It's everything that we wanted. And for this building, we just toured it, and I'm sure during this video we've dropped some little clips from that. It's almost surreal. It really is to look back, because I remember walking in, Justin, some insulation might have fallen down, some birds flying around. Y'all kept the birds, right?
Yeah. Well, we relocated them. We rehomed the birds, but we had a collection of those. It really has evolved, and it's fun to look back at that. And sometimes, again, you get busy going forward, which is what you want to do, but it's good to look back and see what it was.
Bird relocation day was a fun day during construction.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on another time.
So, and that was a really cool day, right? Because I know we had Congressman Blackburn, who was running for the Senate at the time, if I'm not mistaken, because I think we had some people trying to put some Senator Blackburn signs in front of the building. We're like, no, this isn't a campaign event, right? This is a Craig event. We also had all the TCAT students. We had a lot of CTE students came in with the shirts on.
Yeah, we had, and you know what the interesting part about that is, and there was a track hole. There was an excavator there in the background, and I remember we took some photos, and there was the 3 high schools were represented, and they all wore different color shirts to match that. Yeah. So we pulled that picture out somewhere. It turned out on a flash drive, because one of those students in one of those T-shirts works here.
That's cool.
So, it's nice that Garrett joined the team. I mean, we've added, obviously, dozens of people from the area, but it's interesting that someone that was here on the groundbreaking before we really existed, at least in the county, and they work here. So I thought that's kind of cool that we're able to do that. It was fun.
It's cool. So let's do one quick round of what are your favorite memories from evaluating our community during the project process or doing business here? Just have like a favorite memory, and I'll start. Like one of my favorite memories about this. In fact, Vic and I were talking about this not long ago. But when we came to Canada, Vic and I were, well, at least I was on a health kick. Vic's always on a health kick. We thought we'd be cute and run, early the next morning, and I think we had to be at the Craig operations there at 6 or so, which means we needed to wake up early to run, and y'all are on Atlantic time over there, so it was 2 hours ahead. Mm-hmm. So we woke up at like 3 after a day of traveling 14 hours and ran through a potato field. So that's one of my favorite memories of this project from the beginning. But what do y'all, can y'all top that?
I'm not sure, but the one I remember, it was the first visit in the May when we were here, and we were all up front. I think we'd already toured the building, and remember you had the sign, hey, it could look like this, and Justin and the whole team was here. And Barry Doss, being the shy, quiet one that he is, was out front talking and still touting the community before we went for lunch. And right at that time, one of your police cars ran down the highway, lights on, sirens blazing, and Barry's trying to convince us about this great family town that we're going to have, and you couldn't hear him for a minute as the police went zipping by, kind of idea. And I'm like, Now that's one I'm going to remember. So I don't know if it tops the potato field,
No, that's a pretty
but I
good one.
remember that.
Well, mine obviously, and I've told this story a bunch of times, was, we flew into, I found out it's Bangor, Maine,
Right.
As the locals call it. But we got in a van, we're crossing the Canadian border, and Ryan,
Oh, God.
being as detailed as Ryan is with the itinerary that we had, bathroom breaks and what time we were going to eat, and all this planned out to a T. When we get to the Canadian border, the Canadian Mountie is asking us questions as we're going across the border, and Barry's in the passenger seat the whole time, leaning over saying, "Tell him it's none of his business. Tell him it's none of his business."
Yeah, trying to go customs over here.
So,
I'm wanting to say he asked the question, what are y'all doing? And I'm like, we're visiting friends in manufacturing. We're visiting friends in manufacturing. And he's like, what? And I talk fast, right? So he was like, what? But no, that was a memorable trip,
Yeah.
and the hospitality. Again, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Y'all said it feels like home, and we went to Heartland, and it felt like home, and that's when we knew it was like the perfect partnership. And so, Les, thank you. Justin, thank you. We do have a tradition on the show, and I probably should have told y'all this before, but we do something called Last Word, and we don't know why we do that, just to be honest with you. Last Word is just about what's your word of the day, and we'll define it, and it just expands people's vocabulary. And so, who wants it?
Who wants it?
Go ahead, you in?
mastered in Tennessee.
Mastered in Tennessee. Well, that's a phrase, but I'm going to take it. So we're going to take
All right.
mastered. Why that?
I think, Ryan, why that is we've seen a new product come into our community.
Yep.
And this product is not something that's localized. This is going all over the country, all over the world, and we're building a good quality product. There's a lot of training that's going into our local schools, our higher education centers, and they're geared towards making a high quality product that's coming out of Lawrence County
Yep.
that's servicing the world. And Doss Brothers, we're proud owners of the first one made in the United States and mastered in Tennessee.
Love it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And Craig, we're going to hire Justin as our PR. I'm impressed. That was pretty good. So we'll get you a new shirt. We'll trade the DOS one off. I think we're
size.
there.
Well, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Commerce Central. Join us next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
That was fun.